Okay, we move to foreign key. What is foreign key? So in the context of relational databases, so class, when we create our database using the DBMS such as Microsoft Access, MySQL, or even Oracle, okay, those are actually the relational DBMS, relational database management system. So what really happens is that, okay, when you create your database, so what is allowed is the relationship, okay, that occurs between or among entity types. Okay, bear in mind that you belong to student entity type, and in that database there can be another entity type called course or subject. Okay, both are two different entity types, separate entity types, but somehow they are related to one another. Okay, there is a relationship that occurs between student entity type and course entity type. And for that reason, okay, remember in the previous slide we have learned that every entity type must be assigned a unique identifier or a primary key, one attribute, or it can be more than one attribute assigned as the primary key or unique identifier. Okay, when you have only one attribute assigned as the primary key, then we call it simple key. When there are two attributes assigned as the primary key, then we call it composite key. Remember that? Okay, now we have foreign key. What is foreign key? Foreign key basically or originally is a primary key of one entity type that is assigned as a foreign key, or I can say that it is the primary key of one entity type that is duplicated and assigned as a foreign key attribute in another entity type that is related to the first entity type. Okay, so I will just read this. Okay, in the context of relational databases, a foreign key is a referential constraint. Remember, before this, I have mentioned about integrity constraint. It is a rule, okay, that controls the redundancy that occurs between two separate entity types. I've told you that data redundancy cannot be eliminated 100%, but it can be controlled. How that it is controlled? We use this rule, okay, to control it. Okay, the rule is called referential constraint. Okay, it is a referential constraint that ensure that the two tables or the relationship of two tables or entity types are made possible. Okay, a foreign key column or a field or an attribute, okay, matches the primary key column or field or attribute of another table. Okay, you may see it in the next slide. Okay, here we have manufacturer, okay, as one entity type, and we have another entity type for car. Okay, these are two separate entity types, but somehow they are related to one another. And the relationship between these two, or I can say that the cardinality of the relationship that occurs between these two entity types is one to many. So in this case, we have manufacturer ID assigned as the primary key of manufacturer, and because of the relationship that occurs between these two, okay, manufacturer ID then has been assigned as a foreign key attribute in the car entity type. So manufacturer ID here is actually the same ID assigned to manufacturer entity type. Okay, we have to duplicate it in car entity type because of the relationship that occurs between these two. I will share with you later on, okay, on how this can happen. Okay, here we have a car manufacturer ID in car entity type is duplicated from manufacturer ID in manufacturer entity type. Okay, I can just give you one analogy. Okay, as a Malaysian, we may travel to another country, say Australia. So here in our own country, in our home country, we are a Malaysian. Okay, very much similar to manufacturer ID. It is a primary key for manufacturer. But when we go abroad to Australia, okay, over there we become a foreigner. Okay, very much similar to manufacturer ID. Okay, that is duplicated in another entity type. Okay, in my explanation just now, I have shared with you the referential constraint. Okay, it is the rule that controls the redundancy that occurs, okay, between these two tables. Okay, so here we have the foreign key for car table, which is manufacturer ID, that is duplicated, okay, from the primary key field or attributes of manufacturer table. Okay, so by doing that, you should know that since the redundancy of data is allowed, it must be controlled, it must be minimized accordingly. And the way to do that is through assigning the referential constraint, okay, for these two tables. So by doing that, only we will make sure that, okay, whatever the data value that we want to enter for an instance in the car table that is related to an instance in the manufacturer table, okay, must match. If we use BMW here as the ID for this company, then BMW, okay, since manufacturer ID is the foreign key here, BMW must be entered here. If we key in a data value other than this, okay, then you will get it wrong. Okay, here we get proton wrong because proton has not existed in the parent table or in the manufacturer table. Okay, manufacturer table is the parent table in this relationship. Okay, it allows us to have data redundancy, but it is controlled through referential constraint, through that rule. To maintain data consistencies involving these two tables that are related. Alright, that's all. I will explain to you further later on. Thank you.